A long time ago, I listened to the teachings that told me that I needed to be an empty cup. At first, I thought it meant that I had to let go of everything that I believed in, everything that I thought I knew about myself. They said that I should clean out my mind so that I could fill it with more knowledge and become someone new. But honestly, I couldn't believe that it was possible or that I even wanted to do it the way that they said. Using the idea of an empty cup, I realised it doesn't really work if you think about it in a literal way. You can't really create a vacuum in your mind. To truly start fresh, it would be like being reborn as a blank slate without the first layer of paint or the base coat that helps you to accept new things. That's almost impossible without dying and starting over completely. So if you're trying to let go of the self that you learn to be, you're not really after an empty cup. You're after the raw material that the cup is made of, before it's been glazed or fired. Maybe that's a bit clearer. Instead of obsessing over emptiness, maybe it's better to think about how to strip away the layers of who we think we are. It's about reprogramming your mind, sorting out what's useful and what's just noise. Instead of trying to have thoughts or feelings at all, maybe the goal is to stop automatically taking in everything around us. Most of our habits are like sediment settling at the bottom of the cup. We never really question where the water that we're putting in comes from or what's in it. The real trick is installing a filter. From now on, you don't accept anything without thinking. You upgrade from tap water to filtered water, meaning you make a conscious choice about what enters your mind and your feelings. It's about permission. You're not empty, you're simply choosing what to let in. Many think that the new knowledge has to come from outside sources, such as books, teachers, and systems. But if you just replace one set of learned behaviours with another, you're not really changing. You're just painting over the old wall. The real learning happens when you watch how you react and when things don't go as planned, when you stop following the script of who you think you should be. If you stop trying to be the polite person or the hard worker, what's left? Usually it's just your raw, instinctive actions and reactions, your true self, your liquid gold. Someone once told me that I should just smash the cup, but I'm not a violent person, so there was not an option for that. Instead, I think of it like stripping the paint off. Society, family, and systems have painted their ideals all over me, telling me who I should be. And when you peel all that away, you might find that the real cup underneath is actually pretty strong and capable on its own. It's about learning to use the cup for what you truly want, what makes you feel alive and real. When I first started questioning how to do this, I made a lot of excuses about why it wouldn't be very easy. My teacher was a patient and understanding person. He laughed when I said that my cup was never truly empty because it will always be filled in the space with air. And then he explained that this air is like the collective consciousness, the social pressures and the biological drives that we can't escape. He said, instead of trying to get rid of the air, just acknowledge it. Later, I realised that this air is actually your feelings, anger, desire, fear. That's you, part of the world that you live in. The struggle that I felt came from trying to find a perfect, pure self, something that didn't really exist. No one is perfect because we're always changing. We're always works in progress, and there's always more to learn. There's a big difference between being accidental and being intentional about who you are. Most big systems, religion, society, politics, try to make things complicated because if you realise that you're made of the same stuff as the universe, they lose control. I don't know who first said it, but it is true. We are all stardust. Every heavy element in your body, carbon, iron, calcium, was created in the heart of a dying star. When those stars exploded, they scattered their building blocks across space. That means you're not just in the universe, you are the universe, experiencing itself through a human body. Or if you think of it spiritually, you're a tiny part of the whole divine force connected to everything. You have the power to create your own life, your own meaning, just like the universe creates galaxies. And because you're connected to everything, you're part of a bigger picture, an ocean contained in a single drop. There's an old saying, you are not a drop in the ocean, you are the entire ocean in a drop. No idea who said that, but it's powerful. The learned self, all the masks and roles, are just like the shape of a wave, temporary and influenced by the wind and destined to crash. But the real you is like the water itself. It doesn't need to be rebuilt or fixed. It just is. As Bruce Lee said, be like water. Fluid, adaptable, natural. If you already are everything, then you don't need to find new stuff to fill your cup. The real process is about remembering who you truly are. It's about stripping away the lies that tell you that you're separate and that you're small. When you realise that your core is made of the same gold as the sun, the residue in the cup becomes less important. Most people spend their lives decorating their prisons, their space, trying to make their flawed personalities look good to others. But real freedom comes when you decide simply to be raw, honest, and natural. That's how you break out. When you stop trying to fix your flaws and instead embrace your true self, everything changes. Nature isn't perfect the way society wants. Storms are fierce and fires burn hot. They're just truthful. To get to that place of just being, the version of yourself to put on for others. Ask yourself, if I were the last person on earth, would I still do this? If not, it's learned. If yes, that's your real self. See flaws as characteristics. Mountains aren't flawed just because they're jagged. They're just mountains. When you stop trying to be better by society's standards, you realise your so-called flaws are just parts of your natural self, parts others might find inconvenient or hard to control. Because you are connected to the stars and the universe, your true knowledge isn't stored in books. It's in your intuition, the quiet, silent understanding of how you just exist. The heaviest part of my personality was like a coat that I no longer wanted to wear. I had to burn it, not just drop it. The coat was the false identity that I had constructed to please others and to hide my true self. Fearing they might label me crazy or unstable, and they did. I wanted to hide my raw nature. But I realised trying to hide who I really am feeds the system that wants to control me. When people threaten to use your true nature against you, they're trying to police your cup. They see you stripping away those layers and it scares them because a person who is just being real can't be manipulated. So I choose to keep my true self private, revealing only the surface while protecting what's inside, the gold, the real me. Labels are just words used by people too afraid or too lazy to understand the whole truth of who you are. I refuse to spend my life defending my right to exist on my own terms. This is a clash between human arrogance and the natural order. Take the recent news about sharks and dingoes in Australia. People see them as threats, but I see them as part of the natural cycle, doing what they have always done. They're not evil, they're necessary. The same goes for humans. When we forget that we're part of nature, we think we can control everything, including the ocean or the wild animals. But nature isn't the enemy, it's just doing what it's supposed to do. I feel everything around me, the pride, the pain, and the fears of others. That's not ego, that's being hyper-aware. I've been stripping away my shields, and now I pick up all their static. Because most people are terrified, and they just want control of everything. Their pride and manipulation come from deep fears, and they're not actually really in charge at all. Real freedom isn't about fixing or changing who you are, it's about accepting yourself, stripping away the layers that society has put there, and remembering that underneath you're already everything. You're connected to the universe, made of the star stuff, and capable of creating your own reality. The greatest act of rebellion is simply being, raw, natural, and true. So the journey continues, and I keep on writing things down, expressing how I feel and reaching out, hoping that my words are helping someone else. Those who feel confused, alone, lonely, and wonder why they are disconnecting as well. Thanks for being here and sharing the journey with me. I have so much to say about the things that I've been keeping in my journals, but that's all for today. More to come soon. See you next time.